She abandoned me. Now she wants me to fund her new kid's future. Hey Reddit. I never thought I'd post something like this, but after the message I got last week, I need to get it off my chest. I'm 28 now, doing pretty well for myself. I have a solid job in tech, own my condo, and I'm in a good place mentally and emotionally, for the most part. But that wasn't always the case. Let me rewind to when I was 17. I lived with my mom, Diane, for the sake of this story. My dad left when I was about 9, and after that, things got rough financially and emotionally. Diane did her best for a while, until she met Gary. Gary had 2 kids from a previous marriage, and once he moved in, it was like I stopped existing. Suddenly, I was the disrespectful teenager whenever I asked questions. She'd defend Gary and his kids no matter what. If they broke something, I got blamed. If there was a fight, it was my attitude. I went from being her only child to the outsider in my own home. The final straw. I got into a small argument with Gary's oldest. He was 15 and messed with some of my stuff. Nothing huge, but I yelled. That night, Diane sat me down and told me I was creating a toxic environment and making it impossible to blend the family. Then she dropped the bomb. You need to find somewhere else to live. You're almost an adult anyway. I was 17. I had no job, no savings, and no place to go. Just like that, I was out. Thankfully, my dad's sister, my Aunt Carla, took me in. She's a saint. Let me finish school, helped me get my first job, and even co-signed a small loan so I could go to community college. I worked my ass off. Went from sleeping on her couch to eventually transferring into a decent state university. Got a tech internship, networked, landed a full-time gig right after graduation. Fast forward 8 years, I'm now in a senior dev role at a fintech company. I live in a nice part of town, have a solid emergency fund, travel once a year, and I'm about 6 months away from paying off my student loans. Life's been earned, not handed to me. And then, out of nowhere, my mom reached out. So like I said, it had been over 10 years since I last spoke to my mom. Not a birthday text, not a, how are you, not even a passive Facebook like. I didn't even know where she lived anymore, and honestly, I was okay with that. But a week ago, I get this random message on LinkedIn of all places. It was short. Hey. I've been hearing amazing things about your career. So proud of you. Can we talk sometime? Smiley face, Mom. I stared at it for a full 5 minutes. Like, what? After all these years, that was the opener. No apology, no acknowledgement of what happened, just a weirdly cheerful tone like we'd spoken last month. Against my better judgment, I replied. I told her I was surprised to hear from her and asked what she wanted. She said she just wanted to reconnect and catch up. I wasn't falling for it, but I agreed to a short phone call. Curiosity got the better of me. So we talked. It started with small talk, how work's going, how she's so glad I turned out okay. I was civil, but cold. I didn't pretend we were fine. She avoided bringing up the past, like we could just fast forward over it. Then she dropped the real reason for the call. So, your stepbrother and stepsister are getting older. We're trying to set up college funds for them. It's just been hard financially, and I thought maybe, you could help. I was silent. She kept going. You're doing so well now. And they've always looked up to you, even if things were a little rocky back then. Rocky? I was homeless because of her. I was cut off at 17. I missed prom. I had to beg for shifts at a grocery store to afford a mattress. And now she wanted me to fund college for her replacement kids. I asked her, flat out. Why would you think I'd do that? She paused for a second, then said. Because you're family. And family helps each other. That right there. So there she is on the phone, saying. Family helps each other. Like she didn't eject me from the family a decade ago. I took a breath. I didn't want to scream. I wanted her to hear me, to feel every single word. I said, calmly. You chose Gary and his kids over me. You told me to leave because I was making your new family uncomfortable. You cut me out of your life without a second thought. I had to rebuild from scratch while you played house. She tried to interrupt, saying something about doing what she thought was best. I cut her off. No. You did what was convenient. You didn't think about what would happen to me, you just didn't want to deal with the discomfort of being a parent to a teenager while playing happy stepmom. Silence on her end. Then I said. Now you want me to pay for their futures. The kids you prioritized while tossing me aside. She started sniffling. Actual tears. Saying things like, I've changed. I realize I made mistakes. They're innocent in all this. They're your family too. I was done. I was innocent too. And I was still left behind. Then I said something I'll admit was cold, but I don't regret it. If you're asking me to pay for their college, then I want a receipt for everything I went through, every couch I slept on, every night I went hungry, every shift I pulled to survive while you pretended I didn't exist. Dead silence. You made your choice, Diane. You chose your new family. Now you can ask them for help. She tried to guilt-trip me one last time with. I just thought you'd have a heart. I hung up. And then I blocked her on everything. So after I hung up on my mom and blocked her, I felt lighter. Not happy, exactly. There's no real joy in cutting your own mother off again. But there was peace, because I said what I needed to say. No drama, no yelling. Just facts. And she finally had to hear them. I focused on my life. Kept growing at work. Took a vacation for the first time in years without feeling guilt. Spent time with my aunt, who honestly feels more like my real mom at this point. I even started dating again. Life was stable. Mine. About 4 months later, though, something unexpected happened. I got a message on Instagram from someone I didn't recognize at first. It was my stepsister. The younger of the 2 kids my mom replaced me with. Let's call her Kayla. She's around 17 now, same age I was when I got kicked out. Here's what the message said, paraphrased, but close. Hey, I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything. I didn't understand what happened when I was younger, but I do now. I found out how you were treated. Mom and Gary never talk about you, but I found some old photos and started asking questions. She said she was sorry for how things went. Said she didn't want anything from me, just wanted to know if I was okay, and maybe, someday, if we could talk. That message hit harder than anything my mom had ever said. Because this kid, the one I was asked to fund college for, was the first person in that house to acknowledge I even existed beyond the narrative they built. I replied, cautiously. Told her I appreciated the message and that I was open to talking, but only if it wasn't being driven by her mom. She assured me it wasn't. She actually said she didn't even tell Diane she messaged me. We had a short convo. Nothing deep. But it felt healing. I don't know what the future holds with Kayla. I'm not trying to be her big brother. I'm not trying to reopen old wounds. But the fact that she reached out, with nothing to gain. That meant something. So yeah. My mom tried to come back into my life the moment she thought I was useful. And I shut that door. But in doing so, something unexpected cracked open. A small piece of truth from someone who was just a kid when I was being written out of the story. And I'll be real with you, Reddit. Sometimes, you don't get the apology from the person who hurt you. But you do get closure in ways you never expected. Thanks for reading. So yeah, after that first message exchange with Kayla, we didn't talk much. A like here, a happy birthday message there, nothing deep. Just, neutral. Safe. Then maybe 2 months later, she sent me another DM. This time, she asked if we could have a phone call, just a short one. Said she had something she wanted to tell me directly. I agreed. I was curious, but cautious. We got on the phone, and after a few pleasantries, she got real quiet. Then she said, I need to tell you something that's been bothering me. I braced myself. You didn't know this, but the night you left, I heard Mom and Gary talking. They said they were glad to finally get you out of the way. They didn't think I understood what that meant, but I never forgot it. My stomach dropped. She continued. I used to think they were just stressed or overwhelmed, but the older I get, the more I realize, they didn't want you around. They made it seem like you left because you were difficult, but I know now that was a lie. They pushed you out. I didn't even know what to say. Just sat there in silence, blinking at the ceiling like it owed me an explanation. Then she said, "I'm sorry. I don't know if it means anything, but I just needed you to know the truth." And it did mean something. Because even though it didn't change the past, it finally gave me something I never thought I'd get. Proof. Proof that I wasn't crazy. That I didn't misremember. That I didn't deserve what happened. It was quiet. It was raw. And it was real. That call only lasted about 10 minutes. But it healed something in me that 10 years of silence couldn't. Closure doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes, it's just a whisper that confirms what you always knew.